Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeneth and I am the founder of The Real Raw You. And this is the Synergy Podcast. And today we're talking with Gala Darling. And I am telling you, you are in for something that is very different than what we've been talking about. And I am so happy that you're here, and this is going to be a wild conversation. She talks about radical self-love, which is one of my favorite topics. It's been funny because lately, as I found out that I have gotten a little bit older in front of the makeup artist, I've started to apologize a little bit for my age and said things that I never thought would come out of my mouth, like, "You've got your work cut out for you." And I recently stopped, realizing that the amount of self-judgment that I had right there. And after years of doing self-allowance and really being with myself no matter what, I realized that that self-judgment was creeping back in. So I've been coming back from self-judgment, but I know that Gala is here to talk to us about that true love, no matter what we are and no matter what kind of baggage we show up. We're also going to talk a little bit about tapping, I'm sure, and how that can transform many of your belief systems that are keeping you from totally being you. So, Gala, welcome.
Thank you.
My goodness. I have to tell you, when I first found your world, it was on an interview, and I thought, oh my gosh, she does a lot of similar work that I do, but her background is so very different. So what brought you to really want to teach radical self-love?
Well, in my teens and my early 20s, I experienced a lot of depression. I was very creatively suppressed, which I think really added to my depression generally. And I also had an eating disorder for about maybe 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really painful. And I learned, as you just mentioned, through tapping, how to dismantle all of those things. And once I did that, I realized that being in that state where life is ugly and life is hard and you're worthless, you are really wasting so much time, and that the world is such a beautiful place. And I started to realize that there are so many women living in that place and have been living in that place for maybe 10, 20, 30 years. And so I feel like, personally, when you discover something that's helpful to you, it's your responsibility to tell other people about it. Not to preach to them or try and convert anyone to anything, but if they're interested, to be open to have a dialogue about it. And so that's really why I started doing what I do, because I felt like I had wasted those 10 years where I could have really been living and experiencing and creating and doing all these amazing things, but I wasn't, because I was so afraid of who I wasn't, what my future would look like, that those 10 years were really shrunken down. And I'm kind of trying to make up for it now. I've been trying to make up for it ever since.
Yeah, no, it really seems that you just show up as you. You don't try to compare yourself. You don't try to fit in. You just show up as you. And it's really delightful to watch. When was there a big turning point around this that was like, I'm trying to contort myself and fit in a box?
I think I've had a few moments of that. When I started my blog, galadarling.com, which was back in 2006, I started it as a fashion blog because I was really excited to be wearing color after 10 years of depression. And I wanted to document my outfits and show people what I was wearing. And as that grew and I kind of got more entrenched in the fashion blogger world, I started to have moments where I would see women who were like size 00, blonde, clearly from a wealthy background, with like their Chanel handbags, and their fashion blogs were exploding. And I was just this like weird tattooed girl from New Zealand, and mine wasn't exploding like that. And I've definitely had some moments in my career where I thought like, fuck, I don't fit into this box. And either I can do it my own way or I can do something totally different. And there was a turning point for me in probably around 2011 where I decided that fashion blogging wasn't satisfying me in the way that I wanted it to. And I wanted to talk more about self-love, self-development, because that was really my passion. And I always thought I would rather be someone who teaches things that are really important and adds something really important to the world while wearing a cool outfit rather than the other way around.
Agreed.
And so in 2011, I basically made the jump from fashion blogging to the self-development world officially. And I remember writing down a list of all these people that I thought I would kind of be in the same pool as. And it was like Jonathan Fields and Danielle Laporte and Gabby Bernstein and all these people. And, you know, since then I have become friends with all of them. And at the same time, my path is so different. It's so unique. Nobody does what I do. That doesn't even come close. And I really love that. But I have to say that part of that is because of my upbringing. My parents are both, I mean, I would call them slightly eccentric, not in a way that like we were hoarders and we ate cat food or anything, but in a way that we always did what we wanted to do. My parents never sort of thought like, oh, what will the neighbors think? That was absolutely not a part of their story. And so from a very young age, I was really encouraged to be who I was. So when I was 13 and experimenting with goth subculture, I would wear silver angel wings into the city, and my parents thought it was amazing, you know? And when you have an upbringing like that, you know, and you find out that it's not threatening to be different, and actually it's wonderful and it's to be celebrated. And so I think that's one of the greatest gifts parents can give their children, is to really be permissive and let them experiment and let them play, and not push that like, what will other people think stuff on you, because the truth is it doesn't fucking matter what other people think of you. It really doesn't.
And I think the big thing is you think that they think all these things and they actually don't.
Right. They're actually not thinking about you at all.
They could care less.
Yeah.
I think
and it's very freeing to realize that, you know, and right. I'm very fortunate that I learned it early. But again, it's a work in progress, right? I'm not completely immune to thinking about what other people might think of me. But the more I practice being myself and the more joy I find in being myself, the less I give a fuck.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your practice of being you. Because I know that in my work, we do this clearing work as well called access consciousness. And I know that I have ways to get back to me if I feel that I'm pretending or trying too hard, or even just in frustration or, you know, anger. You know, there are ways and processes to get back to just me and just feeling real and raw. So what is the practice you use? Or are there anything that you continue to use?
Well, the thing that I've been using for 13 years now is tapping. It's also known as EFT, or emotional freedom technique. And it's a system of basically using acupressure, so pressing on various points on your body like this, while speaking about something that you want to let go of, a belief that's not serving you anymore, or a story you want to change. So tapping has been really useful for me in not so much getting back to feeling like myself, because I kind of feel like myself all the time, but more in terms of when I feel that I'm telling myself a story that's keeping me smaller, or I'm wanting to bust through a limitation that I have, or a fear that I have, or something like that. So tapping is my number one tool. It's completely changed my life so many times over, and that's really my biggest practice that I have.
Do you take clients through that process?
Yeah, I do. So I do private sessions, but primarily I've been talking about tapping loosely for the last 13 years, but I really started talking about it in a big way last year. So I created this new series on YouTube, and I thought, what my people really need is an energetic reset on a weekly basis. They need something they can watch on a Sunday that like gets them psyched for the week. And originally I thought every video would be different. But in the first video, I pulled some tarot cards to say, here's what's coming up. And then we used tapping to break through the blockages we might be feeling. So for example, If I pull the Two of Cups, which is the card of like soulmates and true love and great connection, you might hear that message but think, well, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I deserve that. Am I worthy? Blah, blah, blah. So we use tapping to break through all of that.
Okay.
And
can we choose something and take somebody through a mini experience on this call? Or
yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be valuable.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, that was kind of, those videos are called High Vibe Honey. And I started doing them, I think in June of last year, and they have just exploded. People love them. Thousands of people tapping with me every week, and we're breaking through this stuff. And it's super powerful.
Cool. Yeah. Well, where do you want to start? I mean, I know that a lot of my people talk about money and, creating more wealth and influence. So where would we start with that?
Well, so when your people talk to you about that, what is the major piece of resistance they have or the major blockage they feel?
I think it comes from a life of lack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they feel like they will never have any money,
there might be worth issues. That's one of the big ones that comes up, personal worth, which I think is funny that we'd ever talk about ourselves as currency in the first place. It's like, what? When did we start doing that?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. I don't think it's actually, they're not willing to do the work, but they feel like they're working really hard. And they're just not getting the results that they want.
Okay.
I think that would probably be a collective group of them.
Okay. So that's a really good place to start. So what we would do is, okay, everybody watching. All right, here we go. So here's what I recommend. I recommend that if you have a bottle of water or a glass of water next to you, that you drink some of that. That's the first thing. It's really important to keep your system like well hydrated and flushed. It's kind of like getting a massage. So you want to be hydrated so you can flush your stuff.
I'm almost out.
Yes, drink it up. I don't have any water with me, but that's okay.
All right.
Let me just make a note. Okay. So we're going to do just a quick little tapping session. But the idea with tapping, I mean, there are scientific studies that show that tapping reduces the stress levels in your amygdala by massive percentages. They've used this with people who have PTSD and have come back from wars. So it's really effective. But the best thing about tapping is that you don't have to believe in it for it to work. Even if you're doing it thinking like, this is bullshit, it still works, which is so amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap on various places in our body. So you're going to use the 2 fingers of your dominant hand, and you're going to use about as much pressure as you would use if you were at a concert and there was someone in front of you who was like 6'7" and you can't see past them. And you would tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, I can't see anything. So that hard. You're not going to go crazy, but you want to feel it, okay? So the first place that we're going to tap is on this fleshy underside of your hand here, and this is called the karate chop point. And when we tap here, we're really tuning into the problem. We're really feeling it throughout our body before we move into a full round and we tap. I'm going to show you the tapping points, but it's really easy. Once I show you, you can just follow me once I'm doing it, but I'm just going to tell you what they are. So the first point is the top of the head, and you're going to use 2 hands to tap like this.
Okay.
The second one is the start of the eyebrow. So you're going to tap like this. Then the temples, sides of the eye, under the eyes, under the nose, under the mouth, about an inch down from your collarbones here. And the next point is on the side of your body, like where your bra strap would go around. So there. And then the final point is just your 2 wrists together. Make sense?
Got it.
Okay.
I've done it before.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say a phrase and you'll just repeat it. So when you're repeating it, we'll have all of your audience repeat it at the same time.
Okay.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. So starting on the karate chop point. Even though I want to experience massive abundance.
Even though I want to experience massive abundance.
And it would be so fun to be wealthy.
And it would be so fun to be wealthy.
I feel like it's not really working out.
I feel like it's not really working out.
I'm not sure what it is.
I'm not sure what it is.
But I'm not seeing results quickly.
But I'm not seeing results. My dog is going crazy, by the way. Like as soon as the energy started, she's like scratching at the window.
She's like, I need some of this.
I need help. Abundance, take me.
I feel like I'm working really hard.
I feel like I'm working really hard.
But I'm not seeing any results.
But I'm not seeing any results.
Why am I not seeing any results?
Why am I not seeing any results?
Am I fundamentally flawed?
Am I fundamentally flawed?
Am I destined to be poor forever?
Am I destined to be poor forever?
What the fuck is going on with me?
What the fuck is going on with me?
So even though I feel like it's not working,
So even though I feel like it's not working,
I accept myself as I am.
I accept myself as I am.
I forgive myself anyway.
I forgive myself anyway.
And I love myself regardless.
And I love myself regardless.
Okay, everybody take a break, drink some more water, and then we're going to start doing the actual tapping.
Okay.
Okay. All right, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Even though I want to be super wealthy.
Even though I want to be super wealthy.
And I can see it in my mind's eye.
And I can see it in my mind's eye.
It would be so much fun.
It'd be so much fun.
Think of all the things I could do.
Think of all the things I could do.
Think of all the places I could go.
Think of all the places I could go.
Think of all the people I could spoil.
Think of all the people I could spoil.
That would be so amazing.
That would be so amazing.
And I deserve that, I think.
Deserve that, I think.
I'm not sure, but I think.
I'm not sure, but I think.
But I'm just not seeing results.
But I'm just not seeing results.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
And honestly, it's kind of painful.
And honestly, it's kind of painful.
It's making me doubt myself.
It's making me doubt myself.
It's making me doubt my skills.
It's making me doubt my skills.
Because I feel like I'm talented.
Because I feel like I'm talented.
But I'm not seeing any response.
But I'm not seeing any response.
And that's really making me feel kind of crazy.
And that's really making me feel kind of what? Queasy?
Kind of crazy.
Crazy. And queasy.
And queasy. I feel like I'm trying really hard.
I feel like I'm trying really hard. You hear her? Get down. Thank you.
And yet I'm not seeing any results.
And yet I'm not seeing any results.
So am I being punished by the universe?
Am I being punished by the universe?
Is this what I need to do for the rest of my life?
Is this what I need to do for the rest of my life?
Just fucking suffer?
Just fucking suffer?
I don't want that.
I don't want that.
And even if I believe that a little bit,
And even if I believe that a little bit,
I'm ready to let it go.
I'm ready to let it go.
I don't need to hold on to that anymore.
I don't need to hold on to that anymore.
And the truth is, I am living in an infinitely abundant universe.
I am living in an infinitely abundant universe.
I am surrounded by things that I love.
I'm surrounded by things that I love.
I get to wear things that I love.
I get to wear things that I love.
And I treat the people I love as much as I can.
And I treat the people that I love as best I can.
So even though sometimes it feels like things aren't happening fast enough,
So even though it feels like things aren't happening fast enough,
I deeply and completely love and accept and forgive myself.
I deeply love and forgive myself.
And even though I wish it was happening faster,
And even though I wish it was happening faster,
I trust the universe.
I trust the universe.
And I trust myself.
And I trust myself.
Okay, deep breath in and hold it at the top and then exhale. All right. How does that feel?
Pretty light.
Good. So that's just a very short tapping routine, right? Normally, if I was doing a tapping routine, it would be about 10 minutes long. And I have a yearly course where we do 2 tapping routines every month, and they're about 10 minutes long each. And one of them is about letting go of old stories. And then one of them is about allowing newness and goodness and feeling ecstatic. Because the truth is that once we clear out an old story, we have a space and we get to fill that space with whatever we want.
Right.
So this is a way that we can do that in a really specific, particular way. And it just feels so good. Like I always feel amazing after I tap. Even when I'm doing videos for other people about tapping, I feel fantastic, even if the issue is not my issue, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, you can, it was like right away, I could sense the shift in energy. It's really about acknowledging yourself when at the, like really, really acknowledging it. It's like I see the story and I really acknowledge that this is just a story.
Right. And in a lot of ways, it's about self-soothing, letting yourself know that it's okay that you feel that way, that it's not crazy to want more or desire more or to be frustrated. That's completely normal. But what we can do with tapping is like remove the energetic hooks from all of that stuff so that we can just let the energy flow through us. And then when you're not afraid or resistant or pissed off, things happen for you much more quickly.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I run a program where we disconnect from some of the things that we've connected to our past stories and things like that. And it gives a spaciousness like that. Yeah,
that's the most amazing thing about this is we really do create that space that you can fill with whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk a minute about that, because I think that people think, well, it's nice and it just makes me feel good and at the time, but nothing really changes.
Mm-hmm.
Will you share a little bit about some of your clients and some of the stories and some of the change that you've seen in your world?
Absolutely. I have a client who has become one of my best friends, and she came to me last year because she was really having a lot of trouble in relationships. She would meet someone, fall for them quickly, and then be obsessed and fearful that they were going to leave. Had a lot of issues around abandonment, like literally couldn't let it go. And if a guy, didn't text her back for 12 hours or something, she would be absolutely hysterical, like just didn't know what to do with herself. And so in our sessions, we worked on undoing that. We worked on not taking that personally and realizing that not everyone is going to be for us, and that she was ready to meet the right man for her. And she didn't. And in fact, if someone didn't respond to her, it was a gift because she's no longer wasting her time. He's showing her who he is. And literally about 2 weeks ago, she started talking to some guy that he was in, I think, Serbia at the time. He flew back to LA to come and have a date with her, and he lives here. And now they're like desperately in love, and she's so happy. And she's also, it's not just that she's in love and that she's happy, it's that she's in a place where she feels calm about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is everything. It's like getting the results is kind of easy, but it's really, how do you feel about the result? Are you still on edge, or are you in a place of like peace and joy and it's being easy?
Yeah.
And that's really important. And then the other great example of this, I use tapping to reverse my eating disorder overnight. I tapped on it once, and the next day I was like completely healed. I never had issues with eating again. And that is so mind-blowing from someone who would eat like one piece of sushi a day and just like nurse like a huge Starbucks coffee. That was what I would do for years. It was
Wow.
so bad. And then the next day I woke up and my boyfriend like made me breakfast and I ate it and I wasn't afraid anymore. And the thing about tapping or about any issue that you have is that usually there are multiple facets to it. So for me, once I did that, I was able to eat and I wasn't afraid of it, but I still had some body image issues. So those were things that I had to work on individually about how I looked and what I wanted to look like. But I was able to like unhook that food piece. So that helped me move closer towards where I am now, which is a really amazing place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I had something like that happened really fast too. I used to, I joke that the man that helped me through this was, I said I used to spank myself. Like I would go out and we're in Texas here. So there's these big bowl of chips at these Mexican restaurants. And I would just like eat a whole bowl of chips and have margaritas. And at the moment I was having fun. And then the next day I would spank myself, literally just ongoing, you can't believe. And then I would try to detox and take the cayenne and the lemon and blah, blah, blah. And in one session with Access Consciousness, I stopped that stupid habit. And finally I could eat, and I was also aware that don't do the chips and the margaritas because you don't want it. That's not your choice, and it really came down to choice around food in certain ways.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show like there are so many different ways of dealing with these issues. And
oh my gosh,
thing
right?
for me is a holy grail, and Access Consciousness for you is a holy grail. And I think people who are in a difficult situation, like why not try all of these things? Like tapping is free.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that I'm like really reaching out for these different modalities is I'm like, let's play and see what else we can get to be more free. And that was one of the reasons I reached out to you, because I was like, she is really free and publicly free. When I listened to you, I was like, no, you can just hear it in her voice that, there's no holding back. There's no hiding. There's no pretending here. Like she is one of the ones that is real and raw and really being herself. That's what I'm hunting for. And there's, I'm finding them. It's nice that I'm finding them, but I feel like I've spent years to get to me. What else? And there's more I know, but what else is it going to take, right?
And the coolest thing, sorry, let me just change my seating position.
No, I'm in loving your tattoos. I'm like, oh, I need more color on mine.
Oh, for sure. The thing that's really cool about living as your true self and being authentic and expressing it very openly is that you start to attract people who are just the same way. And, when I think about my friendships, all of my friends are entrepreneurs who dress like lunatics, really, and live these fucking fantastical lives because I no longer have anything in common with someone who is living in a small way, is in a marriage they hate, is, choosing to suffer, because that's the thing. We all experience pain. Things happen in our lives that we cannot control because of who knows, whatever, right? But we have a choice as to whether we're going to feel good and we're going to persevere and we're going to change our situation, or whether we're going to stay there and we're going to complain and we're going to be stuck. And I am so not interested in those people. I just, like, what are we going to talk about?
They talk about woundology, right? They talk about like clearing their wounds instead of actually having creative conversations, talking about the future, what they're crafting, what they're putting together, what trips they're taking next, right? I've found that I've started to really get together with better friends in that way too, because that it's that resonant vibe thing. Your frequency resonates with that kind of frequency, and it's great. Thank God.
Absolutely. And I always think like you've gotten to a really good place when you're on Facebook or something and it shows you like a photo from, it'll be like this day 10 years ago or something. And you think, who fucking cares? Like my present and my future is so juicy. I don't give a fuck what I was doing 10 years ago. It is so unimportant. I could not care less. That is the best place to be. Obviously, there are lessons from your past. There's things you learned. It helped make you the person you are today. But imagine like just looking through your old photos and being like, wishing and hoping. Like, no, fuck that. You get to be whoever you want to be today. Go for that. Follow that impulse. Like the past is done. Move the fuck on.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for those that feel stuck, like
yes.
I actually have a client in mind for this that I'm like the preacher of that. And I feel like I need to be even more the preacher of that in my own life for the couple of things that I've been putting off, but she's really putting off a dream. Okay. So what's your best advice for people like that?
Putting off a dream. Well, the best advice I have is that no one can make this dream happen but you.
No.
And this is like a really obvious thing, but we forget about it. And when I started writing my new book in September, I was like, oh, I'd love to write, 20 books. That's what I'd like to do. And then I woke up one day and I was like, fuck, dude, like if I don't start writing my book now, no one else can write this book for me. Like I have to do it. And so I think it really depends on your motivation. Like how much do you want this thing? And the truth of the matter is if you don't really want it, you won't really do it. So maybe the fact that she's putting this shit off forever means she doesn't really want it.
Yeah. I've actually asked her that.
Right. But the other thing to think about is like, what are the benefits of you not living your dream? And there are always upsides to not living your dream, right? Like you get to stay safe, you get to play small, you won't be criticized, you're not going to upset your family and your friends, you don't risk being really successful, and then maybe you would be ostracized or your life would change. Like there are a million reasons why we want to stay where we are psychologically, and as long as those reasons are stronger than your reasons for doing it, you're always going to be stuck.
Yeah.
You are always going to be stuck. So you have to take a really clear inventory of what are the benefits of me not doing this thing? And you might look at it and be like, you know what? I don't want to risk that stuff. Or you might look at it and think, you know what? Fuck that. I want to get rid of it. I'm going to use whatever tools I have to use to let go of these limiting beliefs, and you use them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think another good question is what's valuable about not going for it? What's valuable to you? Yeah. Well, talking about books, you have a new book out. Yes. Why don't you tell us about it? And tell us some of the delicious nuggets in it.
Oh my goodness. Well, my new book is called Radical Radiance: How to Make Love to the Universe and Manifest Anything.
Love it.
And it is literally a book about the law of attraction and how we create our world. So, I mean, this is like exactly what your client should be reading. It's really about how feeling good is your job. It is literally your job. You may go to an office and get paid and that's how you put food on the table, but really your job is to feel good. And if you don't feel good, then you have to do something to make yourself feel good, whether it's meditation or dancing in your living room or having a phone call with a friend. It doesn't matter what it is as long as you do it. And so this book is really fun to write because I'm writing it chapter by chapter, and my subscribers are receiving a chapter every month, which is amazing because it keeps me really on track. It keeps me working on it, and I'm getting feedback from them every month about what works and what doesn't. And then when it goes into a published book that you can hold with your hands, I'm going to use all of their feedback. So every month I ask them, like, what did you apply from this chapter and what worked for you? And so it's really a collaborative process because I have lots of ideas. I have more ideas than I know what to do with, but I'm not the only one who has ideas. And I think it's so valuable to ask people what's working for them and incorporate their knowledge in the book. We all learn that way. We all grow that way. So it's been a really fun way to do it. So I just released, I'm super stoked because today is the first of the month and I just released chapter 5. So it's kind of like Christmas Day. I get to put it out there. I get to hear about it. It's so fun every month.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when do you think it's going to be out in the world?
Well, it's a 10-month project right now. And then, I mean, I'm hoping it will be out by the end of this year. So it's going to be quick, but we'll see what happens. I think
Great.
it's going to be easy and fun for sure.
Fabulous. It will be
Yeah.
fun knowing you.
Thanks.
So in the show notes, I'm going to share a few links. What would you like for us to share?
Well, the link to my book, absolutely, which is galadarling.com/radical-radiance.
Okay.
And then my year-long tapping class, which is called Magnetismo, which is Italian for magnetism.
Love
So
that.
that's galadarling.com/magnetismo. And then probably a link to my YouTube, because I'm uploading videos every week about my high vibe honey. So if you're like, what the fuck is this tapping thing? I don't know how I feel about this. You can try it out. There's like I don't know how many videos, dozens of videos there where you can try out tapping and just see how you feel, see if it resonates, see if you can feel the energetic shift. And I'm pretty sure you'll be able to.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. It
My
was
pleasure.
absolute pleasure. And maybe we'll connect sometime soon.
I would love that.